Good morning, everybody. I'm Stelios Psomas. I'm the policy advisor of the Greek PV Association. Our association is a non-profit one, established in 2002, at the time that the PV market was in the order of a few kilowatts per year. As I will show you now, we have made some steps. We have integrated. Our role as an association is to represent.
Please try to use this one.
Okay.
And maybe keep it.
Yeah. Okay. Is to represent the market and do the lobbying with competent authorities. We have played a pivotal role in the development of the renewable legislation in Greece, and mainly regarding simplification of the authorization process, something that has speed up the development of the PV industry during the last few years. Just to give you an idea of where we stand now, I think this diagram speaks for itself. I will, actually the first serious PV installations in Greece started in 2010 until 2013. Then, in line with what happened in other European countries, we faced an almost 5-year zero market, to be honest, which was a huge crisis for our sector. However, during the last 4 or 5 years, and just because there was a simplification of the legislation and the situation in the international markets changed as well, the most important thing being the low cost of PV modules during the last few years. As you can see, the market has increased significantly. Last year was a record year for Greece. We installed, actually we connected 1.6 gigawatts, which was the best year ever. And our cumulative capacity has is now more than 7 gigawatts, which brings PV in #1 position among all renewable technologies in Greece. Actually, last year, 3/4 of all renewable capacity that was installed was PV, and it seems that we will continue with this pace for the years to come. Contrary to other European countries where most of the systems are rooftop and small sized, in Greece the market has developed mainly with ground-mounted systems, the majority of which I would call them medium-sized, let's say. We have many tens of thousands of such systems. Only a small portion of the overall market is residential. I mean, if you take the cumulative capacity, less than 7% is residential. The majority is medium size, and only 1/4 of the total capacity is what we would call utility scale projects. However, if you take last year, it seems that we start having a shift towards 2 directions. The one is that the utility scale systems start to develop and emerge in the market. We have a lot of companies, both national and international, now active in the Greek market. In fact, the applications for developing PV have reached something like 70 giga so far. And the first systems of utility scale are now mature and started being built and connected to the grid. So for the next years, I mean, even for this year, for 24, we expect that the utility segment of the market will have a 50% share or even more of the total market. The other interesting thing that happens is that at last we have the self-consumption market developing in the country, both on the residential and the commercial and industrial segments. Having said that, what is most important, I mean, we do all this not just to do business, but because we want to contribute to the abatement of emissions and to solve climate crisis. And as of last year, the PV, there is 7 gigawatts installed. We covered something like almost 19% of the total electricity produced in the country and some 17% of the country's electricity demand. As you can see, during the last few years, the development is very sharp, and this figure is actually the highest in Europe. We were #1 in Europe, and it is the second best in the world after Chile. We need just 1% more, and I guess that by the end of this year, if everything goes well, probably Greece will be #1 with regard to this indicator. Regarding investments, I think this diagram once again shows the initial phase of development, then the crisis period, and now the new phase of development. Of course, through the years, the cost of PV has dropped significantly. Actually, the price of modules, as you know, has dropped by 90% or even more compared to some years ago. Still, the market supports investments of over 1 billion euros per year regarding PV installations. And of course, all these investments mean job. And although we follow a very conservative methodology in estimating jobs, currently the PV industry in Greece sustains 16,000 full-time equivalent jobs, which makes it the biggest employer among renewable technologies in the country. Now, let's go into the future. As Mrs. Kara said, Greece is now revising its National Energy and Climate Plan in line with all European countries. Romania is also doing the same. The latest draft we've seen in November last year shows that by 2030, PV will be at least 13.4 gigawatts, which means almost a doubling of the current capacity. That is in the next 6-7 years. And if we're talking about 2050, of course, the figures will be much higher. Now, it's important to see whether these figures are realistic or doable. In fact, they're not realistic. We think that the projections of the ministry are very conservative. And here you can see the current national plan, which is obviously obsolete. In theory, next year we should have 5.3 gigawatts, and we already have over 7. So that's the reason they are actually reviewing that. But still, the figure for 25, we will be there by mid-24. So even the new plan, which is not yet a state law, it seems that it's conservative. And the third line shows our expectations. We think that we can do better, and we justify it first by the huge investment interest that we have in the country. As I said before, we have applications for over 70 gigawatt. Obviously, we can deliver 1/5 of that. Of course, the low cost of PV will continue in the coming years as well. This is the trend globally. And also, just because we have simplified the authorization process, obviously PV has an advantage compared to other technologies in that it can be developed easier from an authorization point of view, and it's much easier and quicker to install. All these reasons make us relatively optimistic for the future, to be honest. What is interesting, though, is that apart from the interest and the good figures, Greece faces a huge problem, along with every other country that has developed renewables, and this problem is grid capacity. There are not enough grids. The grids were developed in previous times where we didn't need such huge grid networks. So obviously we face that. We are reaching a time where very, very soon most of the grids in Greece will be congested. And obviously it takes time and money to develop new grids and to extend these grids. And the question is what you do in the meantime. Well, the government has taken a lot of initiatives, and they are continuing doing so by trying to open new space in order to facilitate the deployment of extra renewables. The most important of these steps is the fast development of storage systems. And here you see again what the National Energy Plan foresees for the years to come when it comes to battery storage. Actually, in Greece, we're now developing pump storage. The first big system is already being constructed nowadays, and there are some proposals for some other, but these are projects that take time, to be honest. We need solutions now, really now, solutions that can be deployed very fast, and batteries is the obvious solution. The target for 2030 is just 3.1 gigawatt of batteries, a target which has been criticized by the market as being very conservative. To be honest, we believe that the storage market, the battery storage market, can be almost twice as much, and we justify that by looking at some key figures. As you may know, Greece was the first European country to get the agreement by the European Commission to have some tenders for standalone batteries. We already had the first 2 auctions happening this year, and over 700 megawatt of storage systems, battery storage systems, have been awarded state support. We are expecting a third auction in the coming few months. And the government is also renegotiating with the European Commission to increase this target of 1,000 megawatt of auctions for storage to 1.5 or even 1.7. And this system should be installed and operating, in theory, by the end of 25. Let's be more realistic, let's say 26. Apart from that, as I said before, the government is trying to open some new space, and the idea here is that any new PV system, or even wind, they will face extra curtailments, and as a compensation, they will be given the right to install behind-the-meter batteries. So the overall outcome, let's say, for the investor will be more or less the same, and there will be support for that. The details are not yet known. Nowadays, we have a committee within the Energy Ministry which is examining the details of that. Apart from that, we have programs for residential batteries and commercial batteries, and if you add up all these figures, you end up with more than 3.1 gigawatt, as I said before. That's why we are optimistic that things will change. Last year, for the first time, we had support for residential storage, and we are now opening a residential storage market. This year, we expect some 60 megawatt of such systems to be installed, which is good news. And what to expect for the years to come, and for a possible cooperation with Romania. We expect more record years for PV installations. We expect a lot of auctions for PV as well as PV plus battery energy systems. We expect more auctions for standalone battery systems. We expect the support for residential and commercial self-consumption with batteries to be continued in the coming years. We expect more PPAs to be signed. And of course, as I said before, we expect more curtailments. And I guess you already know, but following the European legislation, some of the auctions that will happen in Greece, and I guess that even maybe this year, these will be auctions dedicated to other European countries for investments in Greece. So there is space for Romanian companies to invest in Greece and participate in auctions, getting contract for difference for their systems that will be installed in Greece, but developed possibly by Romanian companies. The last thing I wanted to say is that the best way I can imagine to cooperate, to have cooperation between the two countries, because we both aim at the same target, and to be honest, Greece and Romania for years will be the two most important countries when it comes to PV and renewables in the area. And if we want to cooperate and not just compete each other, there is just one word that I would like to say and close, that is more interconnections. The sunny days of Greece can feed you with solar energy. The sunny days of Romania, when the weather is not as good here, you send us your electricity. So, but we need it urgently, and we need all the necessary investments towards this direction. Thank you very much.